The hospice was opened over 40 years ago now, in 1974, and it's a very different place now to what it was then. We've over 29 patient rooms now and over 50 clinical staff, and it's a very much more professional clinical environment than it was back in 1974, I think. We strike what I think is a very difficult balance here, which is we provide a highly professional clinical environment for patients with our nursing team and doctors.
I like working in the hospice because we have such a specialised sector of care. You're working with so many different patients and people, and you're able to sit and talk and listen to not just the patients but the relatives as well.
But we also try to make that as comfortable and homely as possible as well.
Everything is spotless and clean, but not clinically. I mean, it's sort of not. It's just like home. It's sort of comfortable.
It is a different atmosphere and environment here. It's a lot calmer. You don't have the busyness of a hospital ward. You don't have the bells ringing like you do in the hospital. So it's a lot calmer and a lot more relaxed feeling.
One of the things that I really love about St Joseph's, which is just fabulous, is the obvious care that all the staff give to the patients. They do it with love and they do it with respect.
I think compassion, if I was to describe St Joseph's, I'd say compassion is their big word.
I think within the first couple of hours they've come in very sad and vulnerable, and we can make that change within that hour, can't we, of the,
and once they get to know you, it's like they're like family.
Yeah.
The hospice is wonderful, not just for the patients, but for the families as well.
How do you feel about being here in St Joseph's? What's it like for you?
Very good. Excellent.
What do you like the most?
The tranquility. I feel very safe. There's always someone looking after me.
Well, as I've said, the care is fantastic, but the nurses, there's something special, and I've said this once before, about the care, because it is genuine, and that's huge.
You can leave your friend now here. We will care for him. And, it was wonderful. I just burst out crying, doing this again.
And you really feel it when you go from the hospital environment to the hospice. It's just completely different, and it's much calmer. And I think that's just for mum, that's just so important.
You feel like you're scooped up into the family of St Hospice when you come in here. You are very vulnerable at this time, and you need to be able to speak to the staff and feel comfortable asking questions that in new territory that you've never been in before. But the nurses are very good at sitting down with us and explaining things to us so that we understand and mum understands as well.
We've also got a brilliant team of volunteers who's with their support and their time we couldn't function. We've got volunteers who come and sit with patients, take them out in the grounds, come in tea rounds, ward clerks, fundraising, the shops, the gardeners.
The way I look at it is I see it as a privilege to spend time with these people, sometimes in the last days, weeks, months, and I've learned so much. And it does make you feel good. It makes you feel like you're contributing in some way.
Our main priority is getting patients comfortable and making sure that they feel safe and well cared for within an environment that's quite homely for them.
You've got the time to sit there, because that might be the only time that patient or relative decides to talk about whatever it is they want to talk to. It might be touching the hand and holding it, it might be sitting down having a cup of tea with them, but it just gives them and the relatives, family support that they need going through something like this.
I brought our little Jackawawa, Honey, and our little Chihuahua, Toby, in to see Mum the other day, and she was absolutely delighted to see them.
There's no visiting times, you can just come in any time to make sure the family's okay.
So St Joseph's Hospice is a charity, and we're only partially funded by the NHS. The majority of our funds come from people fundraising for us, and we do rely heavily on fundraising.
So we've got a big challenge ahead. That doesn't come cheap. We need to find capital to help us develop, and we need to continue with our existing services, and that's going to get more expensive every year, as we know. So it's a big challenge for our fundraising teams. It's a challenge for our supporters out in the community, who we've had such great support from over the years. But we think it's a challenge worth meeting, because we think that the service we provide is valued by our communities, and it's certainly going to be needed more in the future, more than it's ever been.